coming off that 2-catch for 28-yard performance last week. Patrick Peterson coming off an interception himself. I want to see who wins that battle. DK Metcalf's got to answer. He's got to answer last week's shutout from Jalen Ramsey. I want to watch these 1-and-1s compete against each other tonight.
I hear you, Dan. I hear you loud and clear, big dog. I'm going to follow you up and say this. Hey, you got to remember, Jamal Adams was not there the first time around when they played the Cardinals, and neither was Carlos Dunlap. Dunlap could bring part of those 85 sacks that he has in his career to the party tonight, and Seattle can win the football game. Otherwise, they're going to get blew out the building.
Ooh.
Speaking of Jamal Adams, Key, I'm looking for his matchup against Kyler Murray. If I might take y'all back to the first game, Buda Baker played a huge role in the success that the Arizona Cardinals had. I want to see if Jamal Adams for the Seattle defense can have that type of impact against Kyler Murray and this offense for Arizona tonight.
All right, Marcus, there are major running back questions for Seattle. Chris Carson is listed as questionable. I'm told he's unlikely to play, which would mean that Carlos Hyde, Alex Collins, DJ Dallas would have to carry the load for Seattle tonight, which looks like it will be without Chris Carson.
Welcome to NFL Live, everyone. Week 11 begins tonight, as we said, and stay tuned for our game picks. We're going to pick that Cardinals-Seahawks game that's coming your way, as well as one person here saying the Patriots are making the playoffs and everybody else disagreeing. Keyshawn Johnson's right there, Dan Orlovsky here. You saw Marcus Spears and Adam Schefter. Let's get right to it and get your popcorn ready for this one, Week 11. We've got the Chiefs and the Raiders on Sunday night. And remember, Vegas handed Kansas City its only blemish in 2020 back in Week 5. Remember, the Raiders defense got after Patrick Mahomes, pressuring him 29 times. That's tied for the most QB pressures in any single game so far in 2020. Offensively, Derek Carr went 4 of 5 with 2 touchdowns on passes, 25 yards downfield. Carr 6 of 18 with 1 TD on such passes in all other games this year. But FPI gives the Chiefs an edge Sunday with a 76% chance to win. The Raiders haven't swept the Chiefs in the regular season since 2012. Marcus, we always talk about stopping this Chiefs offense, but you think the key to win is on the other side of the ball. Why?
Yeah, you don't stop this Chiefs offense. That's the reality, Els. You have to outscore them. You have to outduel them with explosive plays. And look, in the first meeting with the Las Vegas Raiders, the Raiders hit 7 plays of 20-plus more yards, and 3 or 4 of them went for touchdowns. That's how you beat the Kansas City Chiefs. You take advantage of Spagnuolo and the blitz and one-on-one with Ruggs, who's a burner. You find those matchups with Waller on the second level, the tight end, and you make guys make one-on-one plays. And that's what the success was for the Las Vegas Raiders and John Gruden. Listen, for all intents and purposes, the Kansas City Chiefs scored 32 points, didn't play bad, went into halftime with a lead. So the resilience of this Las Vegas offense, with John Gruden continuing to mash the gas and score points, and then at the end of the game be able to milk the clock and not get a ball back to Patrick Mahomes. That's what you have to do, offensively be explosive.
You're right, Marcus. You got to push the football down the field, and you know this as well as anybody, Dan, having been on the offensive side of the ball playing quarterback. The game plan's not going to change.
Right.
You beat them the first time around with the game plan. Why would you change it? Yes, you'll have different wrinkles in there, some plays that you've seen other opponents hit against them. You'll add to that list. But for the most part, John Gruden's going to run the football. He's going to dink and dunk when he needs to, and he's going to take his shot downfield with Henry Ruggs as well as Aguilar, as well as the tight end Waller. That's what you do. You're not going to all of a sudden decide that, okay, well, this is what we're going to do because they know what we did to them last week.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that in the National Football League.
Yeah, the Chiefs are the one team in the NFL that there is a very specific formula on how to beat them. One, you got to be explosive on offense. You have to do that. That's what Marcus talked about with those 7 plus 20-yard plays. Number 2, you've got to minimize their possessions. This is great because the Raiders are the best third down team offensively in the NFL. They had 36 minutes of time of possession the first time they played, so that matters. But then you also have to force that offense to kind of hit singles. There's such a home run hitting offense, and that's what really changed in the first game. In the first game, the Chiefs scored 24 points in the first half. They had 24 on them because they played a ton of man coverage. The Raiders did early on, and that happened. Mahomes was like, all right, here comes this gut session. And then in the second half, they started to change a little bit up. They didn't let him do stuff like this, where he got out of the pocket and went to kind of attack your defense. They played zone. They got after him in the rush. They didn't commit until he got past the line of scrimmage. The defensive line fell back when he decided to move, and then they doubled Kelsey in certain situations. Max Crosby's got to have a big game where he makes his rush and then spins back. So as much as I love Marcus, it's not just, hey, you got to outscore him. Like, this is a complete picture to beat the defending Super Bowl champions. You've got to do that checklist. If you watch that game, the Raiders did all three. Can they do it again is the big question Sunday night.
And Marcus, you said there was one play in that previous matchup between these two teams that swung the entire game in the Raiders' favor.
Yeah, Els, there was a scramble with Patrick Mahomes on 3rd and 20. All right, and this is what he does. And the Kansas City Chiefs usually make this play. This is just a drop by the tight end, which could have ended up in a touchdown, and more than likely would have for this Kansas City Chiefs team. So these are the type of things. Look, Dan, Key, and we all make great points about how you beat the Kansas City Chiefs. The reality is you need a little help from them as well. Like, that's how good this football team is. Like, you need them to have a mistake. You need Patrick Mahomes to throw in the triple coverage and Jeff Heath pick the ball off. You need those type of plays in order to beat this team, and more so to keep them from being on schedule. They had to go to throwing the football because the Raiders were being explosive and couldn't use Elaire out of the backfield.
Yeah, and one thing that's important to remember, too, is that Andy Reid's team's always strong off the bye week. In fact, he's 18-3 coming off the bye in his career. Adam, the Raiders put 7 more players on the COVID-19 reserve list yesterday. What's the latest on this today?
Well, Lord, they'll remain there, and as long as they test negative, they'll be activated and eligible to play in Sunday's night game. But you see the names right there. A slew of defensive players. Jonathan Abram, obviously, Jonathan Hankins, some key players, LaMarcus Joyner, Cleveland Farrell. So they've got a lot of players out there that may not be able to play on Sunday night. They are not the only team in the league dealing with this. Tim McManus, the ESPN reporter, reported today that the Eagles wide receiver, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, tested positive. A couple of other Eagles wide receivers in close contact as well. This is something that's going on right now with every team in the league.